there, Diocese of the Rio Grande. Welcome to St. James Episcopal Church in Clovis, New Mexico. And I know you know the Reverend Simon Carian. Simon.
Hello, Diocese of the Rio Grande, and welcome into our beautiful church here at St. James Clovis. And I hope you enjoy the video, and most of all, I extend always a very warm welcome anybody from the diocese. If you're here in Clovis, look us up and come and have a little visit here in this beautiful church and the very beautiful community that's here too.
So tell me a little bit about Clovis. If you don't know about Clovis, Clovis is kind of midway down the state, right on the Texas border, about as far east as you can go and still be in New Mexico. Tell us what life is like about in Clovis and kind of the history of the town. Why is it here?
So Clovis is 116 years old, and I know that because St. James is 116 years old, and this was one of the founding first church communities that was here. Clovis got its start really as a railroad town, and this was one of the only stops that would have been between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and then coming into Lubbock, Amarillo, and then into Texas. So this was an important stop off on the railroad. It's still, there's a big rail that passes right through here, and a lot of trains. You can sometimes hear them in the distance. We're not too far from the train tracks here in our church. This particular church is real beautiful. It's right on Main Street, so it's a good location. There's always parades and things that are happening, and when we do, we open the church, we put a little booth out, and so this church here has a long history with the community of Clovis, and yeah, that's a little bit about the town.
That's wonderful. So started off as kind of a railway town. A lot of farmers here, though, right? Dairy?
A lot of farmers were in this area, agriculture, and about maybe 30 or 40 years ago, a pretty significant number of dairies moved in here. And I was explaining to Bishop, there's a whole little local economy that's built around this, because just about 5 miles south of Clovis, headed towards Portales, is one of the largest cheese factories in the entire United States. So there's all these dairies that are here, and then they don't have to transport the milk very far to the cheese plant where it's made into Kraft and other, I forget all the types, but any cheese you buy at the store, probably it came just from down the road here. So then a lot of the agriculture goes towards supporting the dairies, who then sell to the cheese plant that then goes out from here. So that would be one main source of economy. And then the other big thing that's here in Clovis is, of course, Cannon Air Force Base, which is a very major Air Force base. So we have a lot of airmen and women who come in through here and serve a tour of duty, from here. So the military component of the community is also pretty strong.
Wonderful. And in fact, we have some of the retreats that are run from Cannon Air Force Base are actually happening at Bishop's Ridge now. And so I think we've hosted them 3 times in the past year.
Oh,
so
that's wonderful.
We're honored to have that kind of connection, that folks from here who are serving on Cannon Air Force Base can come with their chaplains to have a time of retreat and training up at Bishop's Ridge.
Oh,
so there's a neat kind of connection in that way. And so you've been rector here how long now? Remind me.
Let's see, I think I've been here now around 2 years, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So going on about 2 years. I spent a year here before I became rector, when I was doing my year of Anglican studies. So I think I've been here as part of this community about 3 years now.
That's wonderful. And so tell us about St. James and the ministry here, the place, the people.
Absolutely. St. James is just a beautiful community of people that goes way back and is, like I was saying, an established church here, but the people are real tight-knit and love each other and have, some of them, been here a long time. Some, have come from other church communities that are here. Clovis is a pretty I would say a pretty religious area of the state. This is sort of the very border of Bible Belt territory. So I think here in Clovis, there's something like over 70 churches for a relatively small community, but to have that many churches. So it's a pretty, I guess, religious area, but some of our people, have come from other church traditions, and maybe they find a little bit more open and welcoming expression of Christ's love here. So we have some longtime Episcopalians who have been here since this particular church that we're in was built in the 1940s, and some remember Dr. Ross Calvin, who was the first rector, and so we have people that go all the way back to that time and still have that sort of in the living memory, to people, coming into this church community even a lot more recently. So
It's such a warm community. I always love coming here because the people are so warm, and there's a real strong, people know in Clovis, may not know what the word Episcopal means, but they know what Chili Day is. At least for a long time, this community fed chili to the whole county. So is that still
that's right.
going?
So we have done the Chili Day, we call it, and I believe it got maybe to its 55th iteration, something like that. So it had been around for a pretty long time, and yeah, everybody in the community knew about it. People would come and get chili for their whole office and take out 10 to-go boxes of all the chili. So that was a major kind of community outreach that we've done a lot, and this place would be pretty well known for. We haven't done it in the past year or so, and a lot of that is because the people who did it for all the many years are either retired or have gone on, and it takes a fair amount of energy. And
Yeah.
we cooked the last time we did it, which would have been, I guess, a year and a half ago. I think I browned 300 pounds of ground beef. So I was in there cooking, and I probably still smell like it, actually, even a year and a half later. But so it took a fair amount of people to do. So we haven't done the Chili Day. We would probably do it again if we could get the workforce to be able to do it. Instead, we've shifted a little to, instead of doing the Chili Day, which was always the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. So that's when they had normally done it, right before. So on Shrove Tuesday, right before the Lent season. So it was in February time usually. One thing that we've been trying to do a little bit since we didn't do the Chili Day was celebrate our feast day. And so we did a big St. James celebration, and we didn't have the chili, but we did have grilling hot dogs and some other little things that weren't so labor intensive. But that was a great community outreach. And we have a beautiful courtyard that's here just outside of the church. And somebody from our parish donated for the day a massive water slide. I mean, it was 25 feet tall as the church. And so I was blasting neighborhood music, and all these kids that I had never seen before were coming, and they're jumping down the slide and grilling hot dogs. And so we had a nice community outreach for the Feast of St. James. And I was giving away blessed pilgrim shells because, of course, the symbol of St. James is the pilgrim shell going to Santiago de Compostela. So I've been telling people to make their camino and that I would give them their pilgrim shell. And a beautiful image of it is, if you can think of how a shell is, a shell has all the different lines that come, but they all converge at one point. So it's a nice symbol of, every people coming from different backgrounds, different places, but all being able to converge at a sacred place to have a celebration. And so that was a fun thing that we did just in the summer not too long ago.
That's wonderful. And an example, I think sometimes churches get stuck on, we always do this ministry and this is what we're known for, so we have to keep doing it. And maybe 50 years is enough Chili Day, and it's great for a community to be able to say, like, we're not able to do that ministry in the same way that we used to. It's okay for us to let it go and start something new. That maybe this is the season of a different celebration, which doesn't mean it can't come back, but just, I think sometimes churches get stuck in, we have to keep doing what we've always done. and the freshness of being able to discern, hey, let's try something else, is really a blessing. So I'm glad to hear the liveliness of St. James, emerging in different ways. And you're
Hmm.
bringing other great traditions here too. Like last night, it was my blessing to be here with you for the blessing of the animals, which was a great fun right in the courtyard there.
Absolutely. So last year on the feast of St. Francis, October 4th, that's a special day to me personally because that's my ordination anniversary. So on October 4th, I have been 12 years ordained this past year. Thanks be to God.
Mhm.
And so I have a good love of St. Francis because I was ordained on that day. And so one of the things that's in our book of occasional services is the St. Francis blessing of animals. And you don't use it very often because it's only on the one day, and it's you don't think about it, but those prayers are phenomenally beautiful.
They really are.
They're whoever was involved in the composition of that liturgy, I give them an A+, and their reward will be great in heaven for sure. So I did last year this blessing of the animals for St. Francis, and it was just a great success. People bringing all their animals. Like I said, we have this nice courtyard, so it can kind of be sealed off, so dogs can run around, and animals are part of our parish too, and they worship God, and they're a channel of God's unconditional love to us. So it's fitting and right to also be able to celebrate them. And yeah, we had a bunch of people show up. We had tons of dogs. We even had some chickens that
We
were
did.
brought, and people who couldn't actually physically bring their animals, or maybe their animals, don't get along so well with all the others. They brought pictures. So we have tons of pictures of all the pets, and it was just a great time. Bishop went and he blessed all of the animals, and I was commenting with him, a beautiful thing about the ritual is that we address the animal as a you,
Right.
not just as an
I had
it,
not
not as a
noticed this.
creature, but as a you, as a
Yeah.
person, by
Yeah.
name. I
Yeah.
bless you, Chiquita or whatever
Yeah.
is the animal. So it's
Yeah.
a really beautiful thing to bring them in. There's some beautiful prayers in there also for people who have lost a pet and are grieving that. It's obvious when you think about it, but it's brilliant to say, yeah, look, they're part of our family, and we can, maybe this year we're sad because we don't have this companion that we've had all these years. And so you remember the pets that we've had, you bless them each by name. I mean, it was just a wonderful, joyful community at the end.
Was beautiful. And you were telling me, I had never noticed this before because I've always done blessing the animals in this way, but you were pointing out that it's really unusual in all the Christian churches to address the animals directly and to
Mhm.
use the second person, to use you. Tell it,
Right.
and you were talking to me yesterday about how other traditions do that. So tell us about that contrast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert on any of this, but I think other rituals that I've seen that has an actual text. So you're not just kind of winging it and saying
Right.
the blessing of but there's actually a formula. There's actually a liturgical text. They would usually have it of the sort of, we bless you, God, for, this creature, or may this creature serve our needs. So, but it's
Mm.
always addressing it as an it. But it's beautiful, and we address it as a you.
Yeah. And so there's a acknowledgement of the goodness of creation there, but also of the relationship and love and that actually exists between us and the animal world.
Hmm.
And so there, it was really wonderful. I always love the blessing of the animals, but particularly this one was really special because the atmosphere was so friendly, and each, they were mostly dogs, and each dog would sort of jump up on you and you're given the blessing, and it was just really lovely.
Yeah, it was really good. We did little bit of community outreach, that people who
Yeah.
wanted to donate dog food or cat food or treats or something. So we took a little collection, and we're gonna be able to divvy that up. And I want to give a shout out to St. Andrew's in Roswell, because they have the whole food pantry for pets too. So that's a good thing of seeing other good things in the diocese. And we thought, there's nothing really like that here in Clovis. So that's a need. Sometimes people, when they're struggling to make ends meet, and at the end of the month, maybe they stretch out, the pet food a little bit. So we're going to divvy that all up and then be able to give it out to the community for those that are in need.
That's wonderful. Roswell has such a fabulous um, food bank for pet food. And in fact, when the fires came through Ruidoso this time around, of course, everybody evacuated down the mountain towards Roswell. And the need for pet food from all those folks who were evacuating was just through the roof. And St. Andrews stepped up again, as they always do, to do that. So it's a wonderful example of, being aware of what somebody else is doing really well in the diocese and saying, hey, we could give that a shot here because this community needs it. It's just wonderful.
Absolutely. As another example of a great outreach, and so then this encouraging, if there's somebody else out there that wants to do something like this, we did for the Hartley House, which is a domestic violence shelter that's here in Clovis. So they help people who are victims of domestic violence find a safe place to be. You can stay up to 90 days in a place where you're safe, you're away, and they really help these people. They help, of course, mainly women, but some men also are helped there. But people who have just been battered and had their lives torn apart because of domestic violence, and they help these people to get back on their feet. But our Daughters of the King, our Chloe chapter, which is really wonderful, really active here at the parish, they did an incredible thing, which was a purse drive. So collecting from people who had extra or wanted to donate a purse, and then they got all of these purses and then collected toiletries, beauty products, feminine products, gift cards, things like that. So then we got all of these purses and then stuffed them with all of these necessities that you could have. And some of the purses were really nice. The lady said, that's a $300 purse. And that's not for you. That's going over to that. So, and then I was joking. I thought, who would have thought that women had so many extra purses? But no, they had a lot of extra, and we collected about 100 purses and filled them up. And then the people from the Hartley House came to our Sunday Eucharist, and we did a special thing of blessing them and blessing then the people who would receive them and helping them to, get all the help that they need. And that was just, again, a creative example of finding a need, and no other church had ever done that. No other church had done a purse drive specifically and helping them out. So it identified a need. It was a great community building. People felt good about it, and actually really helping people that are in need here in the local community.
It's just a beautiful example of a good creative idea that gels everybody together and connects the church to those outside. And there's something else we're going to do tonight for the first time.
Yes, this is very exciting. I am putting the bishop to work. If he's coming all this way, we're going to get our money's worth out of this guy.
Right on.
And that is, we are going to be celebrating for the first time ever in our parish history a bilingual Eucharist tonight. Behind, so you're looking into the sanctuary of the church, but behind, and that I and the bishop can see, is a brand new stack of the new translation of the prayer book, Libro de Oración Común. And we're very excited to be able to celebrate a bilingual liturgy. And this, as far as I know, will be the first time ever here in this parish that the Eucharist will have been celebrated in Spanish. And this is a great community outreach. The need for Spanish-speaking ministry is very great here, because there's a lot of people who are immigrants, or they come here looking for work. They work in the lecherias. They are in agriculture. They're just trying to make their way. So we have a pretty significant Spanish-speaking population that's here. And I've had a number of people ask me when they come, Padre, ¿tiene la misa en español? And so far I've had to say, lo siento, no, tenemos la misa solamente en inglés. But now I can finally tell them, sí, tenemos la misa en español, que vengan todos ustedes. So if you hear that, you come out here. We're going to celebrate the the mass in Spanish. It's going to be a beautiful thing, and I hope as we go on, eventually to integrate that we'll have a Spanish liturgy probably every Sunday. So that's where the goal is, to get there. And we have like I said, the books. We're going to kick that ministry off with a bang tonight, and with alabados and praises to God, and so, and the bishop is preaching in Spanish.
No,
No,
the
I'm just
bishop is
kidding.
not preaching in Spanish. No, 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 no tengo.
But yeah, we're real excited about that, and that's just meeting a good need. The Spanish speaking community of Clovis is a little bit different than perhaps other parts of the diocese, where, you know, if I think of a place like in Taos or Santa Fe, or even in the Albuquerque area, there are established communities there that go back, you know, 400 plus years. But here, a lot of our Spanish-speaking people are really just fresh here into this country, that they're here looking for work and all of that. So it's a little bit different flavor of Hispanic ministry that's here as compared to, you know, maybe in the Norteño area. But we're very excited about it, and yeah, thank you for your prayers and support. I also want to give a shout out to Father Ryan, who donated a beautiful Our Lady of Guadalupe chasuble to our parish. So thank you. And I think it's good, you know, pooling the resources that we have, so that way we can get that ministry up and going, and maybe in other parts of the diocese too.
Yes, one of the things that you're highlighting here, which is really important, sometimes people think Spanish ministry or Spanish speaking ministry is sort of one thing. And yet, not just in our diocese, but throughout the church, it's really important to do what you all have done here, which is to be very cognizant and aware of the community that is here and what their need might be, and then try to build the ministry there, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about the process that you all went through, or that you went through, in terms of thinking through what is needed in Clovis. Because you grew up in Albuquerque, you're a New Mexican, you know, the
Right.
different areas, but Clovis has its own special needs.
So immediately, one difference is that there are people here who really do not speak English. Whereas I feel like in other parts of our state, where people have, you know, had multiple generations of being here, they speak Spanish, and maybe that's their preferred way of talking to God, relating to God. That feels traditional, sacred, beautiful. So they, you know, have the Padre Nuestros, the Ave Marias, all of that into the very soul. But those people also, though, would be able to speak English. So they would appreciate and love Spanish, but then they can also understand if you're doing it in English. Whereas somebody who has just come here and doesn't have, you know, hardly any English at all, they really want to have the majority of the service to be in Spanish, or not, if not all completely in Spanish. So that would be one difference, that it's not as much bilingual, half English and half Spanish. There are some people who want it actually to be genuinely all in Spanish, because that's the language that they know and speak.
So to have some sense, if your congregation is thinking about this, to know what the needs of the community are in particular, and then obviously we can design for that. So
absolutely,
Simon, I'm so grateful that you're here as the rector, and St. James, thank you for all the wonderful ministry you all are doing. I love being here with you all, and it's been a great week.
Well, very happy to have you, and again, I just extend an invitation. Anybody, if you're passing through in this way, or you want to make your camino to Santiago here, come, and we'll I'd love to welcome you, give you your pilgrim shell, and you can connect with the church in this little corner of our diocese over here. So thanks for visiting and bringing the whole diocese with you, Bishop.